a while ago, I came up with this idea of using tea bags in my collages. So first of all, I used the tea bag and I stamped onto it with a rubber stamp, but then I really wanted to make it more my own rather than somebody else's image in my work. So then I decided to start drawing onto the tea bag. So this one here, I've actually drawn on with a pen, but I found that sometimes when you draw on with a pen, it sort of leaks into the tea bag. And then I thought to myself, wouldn't it be amazing if I could like print like a ghost print or something onto a tea bag? So that's how I came up with the idea with what I'm going to show you today, which is basically putting ghost prints onto tea bags that you can then use in your collages. So if that sounds something that you're interested in, then keep watching. The first thing you'll need to do is to empty your tea bag and rinse it out and dry it out. So all I'm doing is just emptying the contents of a used tea bag, and then I'm gonna tear down each side so that it's a flat kind of piece, and then rinse the excess tea out. And then all you need to do is just leave it to dry somewhere. So I'm just going to use a cutting mat just to pop my tea bag onto and leave it to dry. So once your tea bag has dried out, you should be able to start printing. So it's just a normal ghost print that I'm doing here. It's worth noting that I'm using a 3x5" gel plate, so a really small little gel plate. So you just want to spread your paint onto the plate with a roller. I'm using Payne's Grey here. And you want to find some plants that are really small. I believe these are called mouse ear cress, but really they're just weeds that I find out walking, and I like them because they've got really small, delicate features. So you just want to place these onto the plate and then just get a bit of scrap paper to remove the excess paint from your plate. Making sure that you go in between all the bits of the plant so that you get a really defined image. There we go. So you just want to now pull off all of your plants and your foliage, and you really want the plate to dry now. So I'm a little bit impatient, so I'm going to use my heat gun. So you just don't, obviously, if you're using a heat gun, don't use it too close to the plate, and don't turn it up to higher setting, and don't leave it over the plate for too long. But I use a heat gun quite a lot and I've never had a problem. You could also use a hairdryer if you don't have a heat gun. So once you are sure that your foliage is dried onto the plate, you should then be able to do the next step. Here I found a little bit of my foliage that got stuck to the plate, so I was just trying to pull it off, otherwise it will interfere with the image that you print. And I also just thought I'd check that my tea bag would fit the plate and the image. So I'm going to use gel medium, matte gel medium for the next stage. So you can just put it on with a roller, which is what I'm going to do. You only need a very small amount. So just spread it out across your plate. And then take your tea bag and pop it onto the plate. At this point, you just want to smooth the tea bag right down. So because these are used tea bags, they can be a little bit crinkled and maybe the way they've dried. So you really want it to be as smooth as possible so that you don't end up with any lines or like missed bits in your image. So what I'm going to do as well is use a paintbrush just to smooth down the image from the other side as well. The reason I'm doing this is partly because I want to sort of stiffen up the tea bag and give it a bit more strength, but also so that I've smoothed it right down onto the plate, so that it should pull all of the image up when I get to the point where I'm putting it up. Okay, so once you've finished putting your paint on, you need to leave it for a few hours to dry, or you could leave it overnight. Okay, so I've left it overnight and I'm going to pull it back now. You just need to be a little bit careful when you're pulling it back that you don't tear the tea bag. But as you can see, you've got a pretty well defined image that's gone onto your tea bag, which you can then use in a collage. I kind of like how it looks really vintagey with the tea stained paper. So it's perfect for collage. Here's a couple more prints I did onto tea bags using different plants. So I'm now ready to collage with my tea bags, so I'll let you watch. And here's a finished collage. I hope you enjoyed watching today and that it inspires you to make some collages and some prints of your own. If you liked it, please like, please subscribe, and please comment. I'd love to hear from you.